So where have you got your
Yeah.
inspiration from in life, or who?
Oh, lots of different places, really. Yeah, there's not kind of one place. I kind of quite often I get inspired from places of adversity rather than examples of brilliance. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Well, that's kind of what the
So
podcast is about.
when I see, yeah, it's like I don't, I'm never really inspired by famous people or public figures or people who've written books. That's not the stuff that floats me boat and turns me on and makes me inspired in that kind of way. I'm usually inspired by things that are quite humble, quite vulnerable, for when things are, not particularly going well. So over the past kind of couple of years, because of my passion for empowerment for women and girls and being a mum to 3 teenage girls, I've done a lot of work with a social enterprise called Girls Out Loud, and that massively inspires me because that gives me the opportunity to go into schools and understand what it's like to be a teenage girl in this day and age. Even though I've got my own teenage kids, it's different when you're their mum,
Yeah.
isn't it? I go and meet some other children. They tell you different things. You see different things, and understanding the challenge that they face now. Most mums and dads of teen girls don't know what they face. This is what's inspired me. So we talk about 3 game changers for teenage girls. They've still got all the challenges that we had when we were growing up, by the way. But there's 3 big ones that they face now. The first one is smart technology. That won't be news to anybody. But what will be news is, it's this always on approach to life. So what I mean by that is, let's say you're getting bullied, right? And, we used to get bullied when we were younger. But when you went home from school, bullying stopped until tomorrow. Now it ramps up. It gets worse. It gets worse because it goes onto the mobile phone after school. So that's an issue. The other thing I find is when I spend time with them, I say to them all, right, can everybody go into their settings and tell me what their average screen time is? What do you reckon a teenage girl's average screen time is? How many hours a day?
Well, going off my personal experience with my teenagers, I know it's probably upwards of 5 hours.
5. They're all in double
Double
figures,
figures.
all
Yeah.
of them. And I find that the average was about 13 or 14 hours a day. Some of them are at like 16 hours a day, Mary.
My God.
So if they're in school for 6 hours and they're online for 16 hours a day, what are they not doing?
Not sleeping.
They're not going
No.
to bed, right? And a teenage girl who is going through puberty, who's not getting any sleep, is not a nice person to be around. She's not a successful girl. She's not a happy girl. She's a troubled girl. She's having difficult relationships. She's all over the place because her hormones are going haywire because she's not getting any sleep. She's not eating properly. You know what it's like, and sleep is kind of the fundamental foundation of all hormonal balance. And when you're really hormonal anyway, which comes back to bite us at my age, it's hard, right? So no wonder they're struggling. They're not sleeping, teenage girls. They're online till 2-3 o'clock in the morning on Snapchat. Second game changer is reality TV. So I don't have to say Love Island. I say reality TV. It's not always on TV, right? But for say Love Island to you, you know what I mean. Now, the important thing about this is it's not that they're watching a program. It's what it teaches them. It teaches them that everything has to be bigger hair, bigger eyebrows, bigger eyelashes, bigger teeth, bigger lips, bigger boobs, bigger bum. You see what I mean? And the other thing it teaches them is that they trade sex for power. Everything is about the boy. You must do whatever it takes to get the boy. Notice how it's always that way round. The girl's chasing the boy. That's the prize to get the boy. And if all else fails and your life's going to pot, buy something because that's going to make you feel better. And it's like, what? Right, we can be doing without them teaching them this. And then the third game changer that affects girls today is porn. So probably not the word you're expecting me to say. Apologies to anyone if that is alarming, but I don't know whether you or your listeners have looked at much porn lately. I have. I've checked it out because I felt it important to do so, and that's moved on a lot. We've taken porn off the top shelf. It's not a magazine up on the high rows of a newsagents anymore. Majority of boys are regularly watching porn by the time they're 11. The way women's bodies are represented in porn, they don't look like my body, which I suppose they look like your body either. They look like Barbie dolls. They're not representative of what we look like. And then what happens is, boys are now asking girls for nudes. They're pressured into sending them because if they don't, they're going to get dumped and the lad's going to move on to the next girl. But when she sends the nude, because she doesn't look anything like the girls in the porn movies, that image gets shared and then she is humiliated to the point that she self-harms. And then we've got a young girl who's self-harming. On top of that, porn has got quite violent, and boys now just think that it's absolutely okay to strangle a girl and that is what she wants. So it doesn't teach them anything about consent, intimacy, what a real relationship means. And girls are going along with this because they think that is what they have to do. So if anything inspires me, Mary, it's that.
Well, that's very powerful. And as you say, I don't think a lot of parents are aware of that. I mean, personally, we've always put time limits on the kids so that everything switches off at 10:30 or 11 o'clock, so they can't actually go on anything, and that's caused massive rows, massive rows. Why have I got time limits? And now we're just coming to the other side of them starting to understand why. Not so much my son because he's still a bit younger, but my daughter's like, oh, I can see why you did that, and I'm actually really grateful now. But it would have been easy to give in and go, oh, I can't be bothered with the row. Just, but I think we really, as parents, do need to keep a very close eye on what's going on. Well, I know from myself how much time I spend on my phone, and I'll justify that by saying, well, I'm doing my social media for Building Bliss, or I'm sharing my comedy, but then it's still 2-3 hours staring at your screen. So, and they model off us, don't they? So I guess we've got to take some steps as well to display a better role model for that.
Absolutely. I meet a lot of parents that when I share that with them, they're like, oh my God, don't tell me this, I don't want to know. And I'm like, you've got to know, because if you don't know, then you can't help them navigate this. I mean, can you stop them from seeing this? Probably not. But can you have a conversation with them about it and help to educate them about what's appropriate, what's not? And I say this as much to parents of boys as I do to parents of girls. Watch what you let your son do, or how you let him speak to you, how you let him treat you. I've got friends who've got teenage sons, and their sons speak to them like crap. And I say to my friends, you need to get a handle on that, because you are setting them up for how they're going to have a relationship when they grow up. And that doesn't bode well for an equal relationship with mutual respect and, all of that kind of stuff. So this is as much to parents as boys as it is to parents of girls. We've got to be having these conversations with them to help them navigate this. It's not just about stopping them from being online, because they'll find a way. They'll find a way to see it, and they'll find a way to engage with it. It's talking to them and helping them see that the consequences and what's real and what's not. I don't know if you get this, Mary, with your kids, but because of AI, my kids can't tell what's real and what's not. Even at 18, my 18-year-old will show me something and go, oh, Mum, look at this. And I'll be like, that's not real, hon. And she's like, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I'm like, it isn't. It's fake. It's such a good fake. And so I feel sorry for them because they can't figure that stuff out. Sometimes I can't figure it out either, by the way. But at least I look at things skeptically to go, how real is that image? How real is that video? Blah, 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 blah. How fake is that news?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Because I think
yeah, sorry, I get a bit soapboxy
no,
about
I
that
agree.
now.
Because I think a lot of the rows we have are I've seen this on TikTok. I'll put it in inverted commas. I've seen this on TikTok. I
Yeah,
was like, that doesn't mean it's true. Like whether I don't, like you say, some
no,
news, something that someone's done. I was like, it doesn't mean it's true just because you've seen it on a social media site. And I think, as you say, AI is terrifying. Obviously, it can help us in lots of ways, but I heard the other day that there's an AI app
of
now where you
course.
can upload all the messages you had with an ex-partner, and then you can continue the relationship with
Yeah,
them even when if you've been dumped or you finish with
I heard
them, and
that
the
too.
AI will learn how you communicated, and then you continue a relationship with them in AI. And I'm like,
I mean, how how toxic is that, and how bad is that for people's mental
yeah,
health? That's not good,
no,
is it? It really is good. And then another one I heard, I was listening to Diary of a CEO the other day, Stephen Bartlett's podcast, and again they were talking on there about AI being able to, you can give it 15 seconds of your voice now, and it will just learn to talk like you, which means then you could just create messages of anyone's voice and be like, they said
yeah,
that. Can you imagine kids doing this? They'll be like, well, they've said this about
yeah,
you, blah, blah. It's just opening up a massive can of worms of fakeness, and it worries me. But
yeah.
anyway,
Well, just on that, we
that's what
yeah.
inspires
Well,
me,
that's
Mary.
yes. I was just gonna say I asked you what inspires you, which is that, but then I think that is in the same way as how you will inspire others and how you want to inspire others by getting those messages out there.
Yeah. I know they're not good news messages, and I do my best to keep them as buoyant as possible. But it's the reality of the situation that needs fire behind it to get people to take
Yeah.
action.
Well, I think that's embodied in your pillars, which are inspiring, empowering, entertaining, educating, and liberating. And I think the liberating and educating fit
True.
together very well with that message, because you are liberating
Yeah.
teenage girls and teenagers generally of that sort of tyranny of everything's how you look. Your whole worth is wrapped
hmm
up in how you look.
Yeah. Yeah. What I am really pleased to see, it's like coming to the forefront now, is what they call, I don't know if you've heard of this, it's called the clean girl era. So actually, this is more for like the late teens, early 20s girls. They're really getting on the bus with, living a life that is much more natural, all about their well-being. They're not into drinking, they're not into drugs, they're not bothered about all these products and preening themselves so much. They want to live a holistic, healthy, have a strong sense of well-being life. And actually, I'm really inspired by that. I'm hoping that starts to come through to the younger girls and some older women, actually. So hopefully there's something in that this cohort of young women have actually woken up to what they've been subjected to through their teens and thought, I'm not buying into this anymore.
Yeah. I think,
So
well, I always did feel that we were
yeah,
going to reach a tipping point where it almost came full circle, where everyone started to
yeah,
realize how much we're being monitored all the time. The devices are listening to us, the algorithms that are being compiled. And I think we will see a bit more of a return, I think, to a simpler, more off grid life as much as possible.
yeah. Let's hope so. Let's hope
Yeah.
so. I'm up for that anyway.